Okay. I'm Leslie Moody for WayTV.com, here today with Peyton McNully, a member of the Huntsville Get Google Task Force. Thank you, Peyton, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me how you got involved with this Google project.
Actually, on February 10th, whenever Google announced their Google Fiber RFI project, I started a Facebook group, emailed Mayor Battle and his Chief of Staff, Trent Willis, and then together we kind of said, hey, we need to get in on this, and it didn't take much convincing because the city was already forming their response team with Wayne Brooks, city's ITS director, so he's actually heading up the government response, and we're actively involved now in a real grassroots effort through Facebook and everything else out there, Google Buzz and everything.
Most of our viewers by now have heard of Google Fiber, but maybe we don't all completely understand it just yet. Just give us, you've got some really great analogies.
Google Fiber is an experiment that Google announced on February 10th. Their goal is to give one community in the U.S. Access to 1 gigabit per second internet. That's it's a huge number because that's 100 to 1,000 times faster than what current home broadband access will allow for. I know you can sell all, remortgage your house and get that fast access, but it's not going to be at the competitive price that Google has planned for us. When you start talking about being able to go classroom to classroom throughout the entire city, say one teacher is a really great expert on the Civil War and another teacher is a really great expert on World War II, they can actually team teach through VTCs, through all kinds of technology that we haven't even seen yet, just as a result of this. And it really opens up access to even foreign countries. Say Japan, they already have really great broadband access. Say there's a class over there that Huntsville High or somebody wants to team up with and have a video classroom dialogue. It's suddenly possible because of 1 gig fiber drops in every classroom and home, for that matter. It's a really awesome opportunity just for education. And then when you start talking about what Huntsville does well, whether it's aerospace, missile defense, national defense, all of those
biomedical,
sorts of things, biomedical, biotech, all the medicine, it's really going to transform all of these markets and really give us a bigger footprint, not only in these markets, but as a web presence as a whole. We get to a point where, you probably won't even have to download the movie. The only reason right now you download the movie is because your internet can't keep up, and so you got to let it queue up, get downloaded part of the way, and then you can hit play. You're talking about being able to hit play at any time you want to watch movies, TV shows, anything. And
not just downloads, but uploads. There.
This is really going to change that small pipe going up into a 1 gig pipe also. I mean, it's outside of the big internet picture. I talked about schools in the city being able to talk with one another, but how's that going to change you talking with your neighbor? Interaction with your neighbor. Hey, listen to this song, and then suddenly it's playing over at your neighbor's house. I mean, there's all sorts of,
and definitely video is phones and teleconferencing, yes, and those things that we do now, but with some bulk that all goes away. Now, this is a residential project, right?
Yes, it's Google Fiber for communities, and their overall purpose is the home, but it has been stated several times by Google that it's not just for the home, so businesses will have access to it.
Yeah, we talked about telecom, even, that our mobile devices and our handhelds would benefit from that sort of speed.
Yeah, with bringing 1 gig to the home, it's really going to drag all these major points of presence on the internet to Huntsville, and so what that allows is everything is 4G WiMAX, better cellular coverage, because all that's over an internet medium, and so everything's really going to flourish. You're talking city Wi-Fi is possible now because the internet's no longer this treasured commodity. It's just out there and at these fire hose types of flows.
Everyone benefits if this comes to Huntsville.
Yeah, I mean, just the way it's going to change the way we socialize with each other. I mean, that's so much of, that's what Facebook is all about. But Facebook is one of those things that now that, if it's not on Facebook, then it didn't happen. I mean, it's become that. And so, what does that do whenever you've got 1 gig at your house now? what happens with Facebook? I mean, what sort of applications are gonna jump as a result of this? Is Huntsville going to be the only city that no longer, tweets and everything? They just blast off video tweets. I mean, there's, could be all sorts of things that come out of this. So.
That's a good point. Like right now, the internet has done an amazing job of catching up to photo sharing. I know 10 years ago it was still something to, send a batch of 53K photos, more than one at a time. There's a lot we can do. This really does, for video, plus some, what we've already seen happen with pictures, right? A bigger advance than we've seen in our lifetime so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than the jump from dial-up to cable, because even with the jump from dial-up to cable, it wasn't to these breakneck speeds. I mean, it's definitely, we're not with a cable modem at the 56K modem type, but when you start talking 100 times faster, that's a lot of bandwidth.
Now, wouldn't you try to go outside this market to already know that sort of?
It definitely opens your eyes, because right now I have to outsource all of my websites I do to an external web host, and they actually host my site. I upload the files, and they have the point of presence on the internet. It really makes it so that I can plug my computer in at the house and suddenly host my blog and everything else from the house. And so it does some obvious things, cutting overhead costs, but it gives the individual greater control and greater access to the internet as a resource. And so, whatever the application is, it takes that access to a high-speed, pipe. It takes that out of the equation completely and makes it, it makes it a matter of just going out and writing the code and making the app now, and not a matter of, who do I use, how does it get out there, what's their uptime. It throws the ball back in our court.
Well, now, hopefully, after listening to some of the things that you and I have talked about, we will have people thinking about how this would impact their lives and what it could do for them. And we want them to get involved. The city of Huntsville, the mayor battle, everyone involved wants our community to get involved, right?
Google is making their determination not only from the city's response, but what kind of response Huntsville as a community puts up. And so the response is at the individual level, and we need everyone to go and fill out a nomination for Huntsville and Madison, respectively, and get, be heard about this. We've also got our Facebook group. It's facebook.com/Google4HSV. And that's another good way to show support and share ideas.
So one thing that we're going to do at Way is solicit folks to send us their videos, send us links to their YouTube videos, because we definitely want a presence on YouTube.
Absolutely.
What kind of videos would people make?
The one we've been tossing around is I Want a Gig in Huntsville, and it's short, simple, and really gets the point across. So if we can get people to look into the camera and say, I want a gig in Huntsville, and then we're set on that. Upload it to YouTube and to the Facebook page, and we'll really get it out there and get it heard by Google.
Okay, now I am hearing some chatter from other communities about the effort that's going in. How is the movement going here in Huntsville?
It's actually pretty amazing how it's going. We were interviewed by the Boston Globe, and they actually mentioned Huntsville by name and our Facebook effort associated with this Google Fiber RFI, and then also Portland. They're mentioning us by name, and both of these towns are way too big for the Google Fiber response, or at least I think so. Google said that they want communities from 50,000 to 500,000. And so they're noticing us, and it's pretty astounding. Just Facebook hitting the news and the internet, and word travels fast. That's actually how I was contacted by the Boston Globe, was through Facebook.
But there is a quick deadline, right? So we need it to move quickly, and we need people to act quickly.
Friday.
Okay.
So yeah, it's imperative that we get as many people as possible to fill out these responses and get them in by the 26th.
I want a gig in Huntsville because
it's going to make my job a lot easier.